All right, and I'm just going to count us in here. 3, 2, 1. Oh, Chuck. Yeah, so it is Louisiana, Tennessee, New Mexico, and Kentucky. All right, fantastic. All right, let me jump in here. And Scott, let me just get a test on your voice level.
All right, test, 1, 2, 3, test, 1, 2, 3.
All right, that's pretty good. Scott, are you on a headset? I'm getting some feedback there.
No, I'm not on the headset.
All right, I'm gonna mute in between so we don't get that chirp there. All right, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing, Scott. So just click on the on-air mic when you're not responding, and that way there we won't get any feedback there. All right, so the first week I tried to record this. Brent's voice was very, very soft because I had my headset on. Last week I had my headset off, and Gene had a little bit of a speed issue on his computer, and so he was a little choppy. So this is our third attempt at trying to record this, and so you're the magic genie, Scott. We're going to rub you like a lamp. All right, all right, all right. I'm going to get us in here. Hold on. Whose voice is soft, Sally?
Yours is.
Really? Anyone else hearing me soft? Anyone hearing me loud?
Okay, I guess it's me. Let me reconnect my headset.
Okay. And Sally, your avatar, Scott Smith, your mic is open there. Scott says he needs permission to get into the document. Hold on. I got someone's mic open giving me feedback there. Okay. Yeah, so sometimes if your avatar is back by the doorway, you might not have good sound quality. Walk your avatar in, sit down at the table. That will always help. All right, let's jump into this. All right, good morning. This is Dave Gagnon, and this is the expansion meeting. Today we have our special guest, Scott Lewis, joining us. Scott, welcome.
Thanks, Dave. Glad to be here. Glad to be in front of all these great people this morning.
Well, fantastic. Greatly appreciate you investing your time, coming in here and sharing your successes. We'll get into what you've been doing, but let's do a little bit of history on you first, Scott. You're in business with a very special lady. If you'd share that with us and what you guys did together before even hearing about eXp Realty.
Awesome. So a little bit of history, but before I do that, I got to do something else real quick. I think one of the things that we miss a lot of times because we don't see each other a lot is we don't give recognition in this company enough when it's due. And so what I would like to do, Dave, what you've done for this company, your vision, the fact that you're doing this every week, you've continued to stay the course, and you've been with the company forever. It probably seems like, but I know you've been through the good and the bad, and I just want everybody in the room to stand up, get out of their seats, and give Dave Gagnon a hand for what he's done for this company.
Scott, that is very nice. Thank you. And I do it because I love this company, and through it I've gotten to meet all you guys. And I couldn't imagine doing this anywhere else. I do appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Awesome. So, I got into real estate because of my wife, Tracy. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 17 years old, Dave. I started my first company when I was a student at Texas Tech University. I've always really kind of been ambitiously lazy. I grew up on a farm, and I started working when I was 6 years old. So time I got out of high school, I said, there's got to be a better way. And I started a vending business. And by the time I graduated, I had 4 roommates. I bought a house. My 4 roommates ran my vending business for me. That's how they paid rent. And, that's how I got myself through college. I started another company as soon as I graduated from college, and we were manufacturing business, and I was traveling all over the country. Sold that for 7 figures when I was like 26, 27 years old, and have built several companies since then, and had sold my business when I met Tracy, and Tracy had just sold her first franchise right before the crash in 2007. And so we spent our first 2 years together traveling, and that's really all we did. Fortunately, during those travels on the back of a yacht in the Caribbean, we met someone by the name of Rob Flick and his wife Jen and their son Rio, and we were on there with 3 other couples. And Rob was really sort of instrumental. We had bought Tracy's Century 21 franchise back, and I'm honest with people every day. I hated it. I said, Tracy, this is the worst business model I have ever seen in my life. And I hated going into the office. I started 2 other companies and was really spending less and less time in the office. Agents weren't showing up anyway, and we met Rob. We rolled that office, about 120 agents or so into Keller Williams. We were their #1 recruiters globally the second year we were with them. And of course, I was building my other companies as well. And, and the checks just weren't adding up. And, I said, there's just really not enough money in this to spend a lot of time and energy doing it. And, I talked to Rob. I said, I appreciate what you offered here, but, we weren't first to market. We were never going to be first to market, and there just wasn't enough money in it. And so I really had sort of gotten out of real estate, and Tracy was running our team here. She does, 20 to 30 million a year and has been for many years. And she was really getting ready to retire again. She was getting burned out, not really excited about it and anymore. And so we got a call in August of 2015 from Rob again, and he said he was coming out of retirement, and he shared the numbers with me. And within an hour, I said, Rob, I'm in. I get it. This is huge. It's a game changer. But I said, I got to meet the people. I trust you. I believe in you. But I need to meet the guys behind this and the gals. And so we flew to the convention in Vegas, just kind of as an outsider. And some of you in this room were there and very instrumental. Carrie, I know you're in the room, and Carrie walked up to me at convention, and she was just the most bubbly, energetic person I'd ever met in my life, and she was sharing with me all of these great successes and everything she was doing, and I realized there was something different. There was just a different feel, in the room, and I've been to Mega Century 21 events, and I've been to the Keller Williams stuff, and all these, conventions, and I've never, even though it was a really small crowd, I had never experienced this kind of enthusiasm and willingness to share ideas and concepts and secrets. And, I got excited about that. We came back here, and we ended up joining on November the 1st, 2015. And it's just been an incredible ride. I wake up excited about what I'm doing every single morning. I love this model. It's different from any other real estate model, and I think that's a big reason why I've had success at what I'm doing, is because I've been on both sides of it, and there's no comparison.
I'm glad you brought up a little bit of the history there, Scott, because I was very fortunate to meet you and Tracy when you came out for that first convention that you guys came out to, and Tracy stayed a little bit longer than you could, and I got to hang out with her a bunch, and I think we became fast friends at that time. And I've been in other systems, I've been in other companies, I know a lot of people. What this company I think has a tendency of doing is bringing together people that are more tightly knit. We share the same vision, a lot more same type of people, I think, and the friendships that have been developed through the cloud office and through the events and those kind of things have been some of the strongest friendships that I've had in my lifetime. So, the ability to come down and have you open your home, to me, show me what you were doing and building, and to be able to be friends and play guitar together and those kind of things, means the world to me. So I think that is indicative of the type of people that we have and attract, and indicative of our culture. So I'm glad you brought that up. So you've been here how long, Scott?
About 15 months.
So 15 months, and in that time, and I know that you're building two lines. You're building a direct line under you, a direct line under Tracy. And so I know you don't get all of the recognition for what you're actually doing, because the company looks at what's next to someone's name. But I dare say that you are the single most prolific direct recruiter that there is in the company. How many directs do you have between the two positions today?
So I looked at our numbers this morning. I haven't really looked at that in a while. Since we joined, attracted 61 agents. 52 of those are active. I think 5 are ineligible and 3 have quit.
Gotcha. So that's awesome. And then we call it building our revenue share group, building our company within the company. Would you share with us what your revenue share group looks like at EXP after the time that you've been here?
Yeah, Dave, you're going really faint. I don't know if I hope it's not my internet. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. My PC is struggling a little bit keeping up with the recording as well as speaking. But I was just asking what size is your total organization after 15 months?
Thanks, Bob. Yeah. I'd like to share with you what our goal was when we started. When I sat down with Rob, and he and I both were just looking at it and running numbers. And our goal really originally was, I said, in 3 years it'd be great to be making $500,000 a year residually. And so we ran the numbers, and we figured it was going to take about 500 to 600 people on our team to do that, and 20 to 25 personals. And I'm excited to say that we will hit that goal in less than half of the time. We'll hit it this month. On my team, we have about 480 something agents, and on Tracy's team, we have about 440 agents.
Gotcha. So when we bring in someone today, they need to make the transition over. They need to write a contract. Typically, it takes a couple months for something to close, and then we pay on the 22nd of the next month. So attracting someone today, there's typically a 4-month lag till there's any revenue there. So you guys have been attracting a good number every month for quite a period of time, and so your current numbers, don't reflect everyone that you've attracted, right? And but if you were to forecast out over the next 12 months with the group that you have, what are you forecasting your income to be?
Well, I'll be absolutely shocked if we don't make $1 million in this company next year between our two business centers.
Yeah, that's a pretty serious number. And what's really cool, we had Brent in here 2 weeks ago, and he's 40 plus wide in 5 months, 260 people in his total organization. He's on track for that kind of number. We had Gene in here last week. He's on track for that kind of number. Rob Flick is on track for that kind of number. I really believe that we're going to have, a half dozen to a dozen people in that bucket next year, and if not in it, scaring it, And, we've added some awesome leaders that are here in the room today that are just getting started with us, that are just as talented. So I'm pretty pumped about that. It's not just, it's not just a pipe dream. It's not just a gimmick. I mean, it's real for the people who take advantage, of the system and work hard. And that's the part I'd like to get into next with you, Scott. I had the opportunity to, stay at your place. You showed me where you work. We talked about your work schedule and those kind of things. Would you? I don't want to, tell everyone in this room that you have to be a full-time attractologist, a full-time recruiter. But if you want to get big numbers done in a short period of time, you just need more time on task. And so either you put in, extra hours when you're not selling real estate or whatever it is. But Scott, would you start by sharing, your vision of a work week and then what a work day looks like for you?
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's changed over time. And, in the beginning, we were the first ones here. So, it was a little difficult to get the momentum. So, I spent a lot of time doing one-on-ones. I mean, I was doing 6, 7, 8 one-on-ones a day, every day for the first 3 or 4 months, just meeting people at the coffee shop. And it didn't matter to me at that point if they did if they'd done one transaction or, if they were $20 million producers. If they were a real estate agent, I wanted to sit down and talk to them. And things that I've really learned over a course of time is, it's not really who you're talking to. It's not about them, and it's not about you. It's about who they know. And you never know who that person knows. So don't ever prejudge someone. I cringe when I hear people say, well, I'm not going to talk to an agent because they've only done 4 or 5 deals in the last year, and I'm like, well, that's stupid. I mean, why would you prejudge somebody? They may be best friends with the number 1 producer in Atlanta or the number 1 producer in California, and so you never know where it's going to go. So you just sit down and meet with people, and I try to do something with my business every single day that's going to grow it, and I try to work on my systems every single day. So I have 2 goals really every single day. Number 1 is I want to have 4 or 5 really solid conversations with someone I've never talked to before. That's my main goal. And my second goal is I want to do something on my systems that makes the team better, it makes the growth better, that's going to help everyone, grow faster. So, that, and if I do those 2 things at the end of each day, I feel like I've met my goal.
Gotcha. And so let's talk about, being the new person in the local marketplace. They don't know who EXP is. I'm sure you spoke with some folks that knew you and Tracy, but I'm sure you also reached out to some folks that didn't know you guys. Would you share, what that initial dialogue sounds like?
The initial dialogue when I'm talking to someone about EXP for the first time, is that your question?
Yeah, when you're making the first call to set up the meeting to have the first real conversation with them.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of a freak, Dave. I love making cold calls, and there aren't many people out there that love making cold calls. But I built my second business making cold calls, and I fell in love with it, and it's still something that gets me juiced every single day, and I know, this is a relationship business, and I'll preface this in saying, because there's and on Facebook, and I know a lot of you have read it. And there's a right way and a wrong way to do everything, and there's no shortcutting success. I mean, you're never going to shortcut success. This is always going to be a relationship business. And so my goal when I call somebody is to create a relationship. And it may or may not lead to a really in-depth talk the first time that I talk to them. But I want to get to know them. I want to ask them a lot of serious questions. And I want to let them know right up front that I have the lifestyle that they want. And I know as a real estate agent, very few people, have the lifestyle that I have. And so I'm long enough to know that most real estate agents work their tail off. And, if they stop, they quit making money. And so, I'm going to bring that out in one way or another. And I just introduced myself. I'm a big fan of scripts. Because I know most people really suck at making phone calls. It's sad but true. So they need scripts. But once you've used a script enough, you need to make it your own. You've got to be comfortable with it, and you've got to put your own emotion and your own personality into it. And so I'll just call someone up and say and I try to find out something about them. But I'll go into their LinkedIn profile, or I'll go into their Facebook profile, or maybe we've done a deal with them in the past, or maybe I know somebody, that's done a deal with them. But there's always some sort of connection. And, I'll flat out ask them, say, how many deals did you do last year? And how much money did you make? Are you making all the money that you want to make? And, sometimes they're open and they answer the questions, and sometimes they're sort of reserved. And you really have to gauge that response. Everyone's different. And so, I think the biggest mistake that people make when they're calling and talking to people is they talk too much. And I've just learned to ask questions and then shut up. And, once you ask a question, he who talks next loses. And no matter what their response is, I gauge that response, and then I'll come back with another question. And eventually they get tired of answering questions. And so they're going to start asking me questions, and then I'm in control, right? And so once they start asking me questions, I'll say, that's an incredible question. Thank you for asking me that. I would love to tell you about that. And so, I know a lot of people now have this preconceived idea of what they think EXP is, but I'll just say, have you seen it before? And if they say, well, no, I haven't seen it, I said, well, I'm sure you have an open mind. You're a professional in the industry. Wouldn't it make sense that you at least know what's going on with our company so you can talk intelligently about it? And, they'll say, yeah, that probably does make sense. I said, well, I would love to sit down and show it to you. When's a good time? And I pull up my calendar. And, so for me, every conversation is different. And I know that, people are looking for that magic bullet. And, in my experience, there's just not a magic bullet. Every conversation is different. I want to ask questions. I want to listen. I want to be truly interested in them and their business. And, I'll ask them, do you have kids? Tell me about your kids. Well, do you have a legacy? Would you like to leave a legacy for them? Are they going to college? Are you making enough money to pay for their college? And sometimes they say, well, that's none of your business. And I'll say, you're right, it's not. I want to get to know you. I want to know, how your business is doing. I've been in the industry a long time, and, I want to get a feel for you and your business and see if, you and I potentially could even work together, because, you may not like me and I may not like you, but I'd like to get to know you. I'd like to sit down with you and buy you some coffee and, and share ideas with you. And my experience is, if I do that 4 or 5 times a day, if I have those calls, I will set at least 3 appointments.
That's great. And so once you're sitting down with them, Scott, so now you have an appointment with them. Do you have a process? Do you have a typical dialogue that you're going through with them or goals that you want to achieve in that initial meeting?
Yes, I do. Again, it really depends on them. I want to ask them some questions in the beginning, but I don't want to spend a lot of time, talking about them, and I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about myself. They really don't care about me, and they will. Their time is valuable, so as quickly as possible, get into the presentation. And the reason I want to do that is because I know that if I get into the presentation, it's simple, that they're going to look at that and go, hey, that wasn't that big a deal. I could probably do that. I mean, people see me do it and they go, man, if this dummy can do this, I think I can do it. And that's my goal, is to get them believing, first of all, that they understand that what they're doing is not going to work. It's just not. And I'm going to show them it's not going to work. And I'm going to let them know that I've got the deal and I've got the lifestyle that they want. And then I'm going to show them how they can get it. But I don't want to come across as knowing all the answers or being the because then they look at it and go, well, you can do it, but I don't know if I can do it. So, it's always, better if you just keep it simple. You don't need to know all the answers. You don't need to know, how to do a great presentation. Just do it. Just do it. I mean, it's just like a listing presentation, right? You get better, as you go along. But this is different than a listing presentation because you want it to be duplicatable. And the simpler you make it, the more duplicatable it is. And that's what will grow our company the fastest. And, and I always get, agents that say, man, well, you focus all your energy on recruiting. Yeah, I do. But most agents can't do that in the beginning. And I get that. This is a separate business for you. Now you have 3 businesses. You've got your transaction business. That pays the bills. But if you ever want to get out of that, you've got to do something different. You agree? Yes. So you've got to allot time to doing the other 2 things that are going to get you free and get you the lifestyle that you want. And the second one is our stock acquisition business. And then the third one is, our agent attraction business. And I say, you know what, just allocate, do something every single day to move your business forward. If every single person in the room just made it a point, phone call every single day for the next 30 days, imagine what that would do for our company. The bottom line is most of us just don't do it. We don't make it a priority. I tell agents, all the time, just do something every day to move that part of your business forward, and eventually you're going to stumble on some success. You're going to get some people going, and you're going to get excited, and you're going to find more time to do more. And so, again, that's my goal really, is just to keep it simple, keep it duplicatable, and get them thinking that they can spend 20 to 30 minutes every single day building that part of their business, and eventually it's going to take off. And most people don't do that. That's why only 5% of the people ever are going to have 5 or more. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's just the numbers. But I'm looking for that 5%. And, and if they're that 5%, I work with them. And if they're not, I just tell them to keep doing what they're doing and sell more houses. And the other thing I always make it a point to say is, wouldn't it be great if the only people you worked with in your transactional business were people you really liked and you really wanted to, sell them a house, or you really wanted to sell their house? How would that feel? And I can tell you, by being married to one of the most prolific listing agents in the country, that it feels good, because when you get to that point in your business, all of a sudden your attitude changes and your energy changes, and your clients pick up on that, and now you're going to get more referrals and get more business. So it really, success breeds success, I guess, is my point. But I just don't see any downside, in the efforts that agents are spending recruiting. I think we all should spend more time attracting and recruiting, and we get the stock where we want it to be, and we can all retire and go travel around the world together.
Yeah, that's really a great share. Thank you so much. Let me open it up for questions that we might have here in the room.
Hey, Scott, Brian. Hey, do you just use? I mean, do you customize your presentation? Or are you using the one on the the join one that's being continually updated? And do you have kind of a magic number of slides, or what? I'd love to obviously see what presentation you're using if you'd be willing to share it. But curious to know what you obviously less is more, and try and keep it around 10, 20 slides. But how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I have about 30 to 40 slides in my presentation, but I never use them all, depending on, what their interests are. In the beginning, I focus on different parts of the presentation, different parts of the slides. And, that's come with time, Brian. I didn't always do that. But, I guess with experience, I've really figured out, how to ask a few questions and find out what agents' hot buttons are, and then I try to focus on those. And it's always the four. I'm talking about we call them the disruptors, the four pillars. And I know Brent talked about this a couple weeks ago, and he's right on the money. I mean, he's doing exactly what we're doing, and that is talking about those four things. And I'll always say I may spend more time talking about the revenue share than some of these others. And I'll preface and say, but it's only because it's so radically different than everything else out there. And I mean, you already know how to do transactional business. You already know how to get leads. Yeah, we have the best systems on the planet for that. But, I always say I'm going to talk a little bit more about the rev share, because my experience is they never get it the first time. And then I follow that up by letting them know I do a rev share training, and I do that once a week. And I say, to really understand it, you need to see that again and understand it. And really that becomes a dream building session, because I get them on that, and then I find out what they want, what they're looking for, what their goals are, and then I show them how they can achieve them through our rev share program. And I just think that's really powerful.
Another question, and this is my last question, I promise. I've about 450 people in my organization. It's something I think you guys have been amazing at, and that I'm really trying to pull some of that into my organization. How do you develop your organization, right? What are some keys to getting people to do what you're doing? I find that's kind of my new set of challenges, and just trying to get and replicate and create the machine. What are some of the biggest pieces of doing that?
Yeah, Brian, I'm sure you know who your leaders are. I mean, I focus on my leaders. I do, we have our Ninja program, the Ninja Mastermind group, that I do once a week for my leaders, and we hold each other accountable. If they're not accountable to their goals, we kick them out of the group. And, we're looking for people that want to win big. And so, I have about 12 people in that group that I get with every single week. Those are the people that really have stepped up, like Pat Hayes and, Alfonso Camargo. And they're all people that they have to attract 6 or more to be a part of that group. And so I'm looking for that. I'm looking for people that have 5, and that, because sometimes they just show up and you go, wow, who is this person? So I'm going to get on the phone and I'm going to call them. I'm going to spend time with them, and I'm going to find out, if they have the potential to be a ninja, to be a leader. And if they do, then, I'm going to invite them to that group, and I'm going to start mentoring them and working with them and helping them build the systems that we've built here in San Antonio.
That's awesome.
Great. Another question? Steve Koss had typed in, are you using the revenue share calculator at any point in your attraction process?
I used to use it a ton, but I rarely use it anymore. I think if you show people the numbers and you show it correctly, they get it. The revenue share calculator, I use it more, kind of in a one-on-one situation than I do on my webinars. But it's a great tool, no question about it. I just, for whatever reason, it's sort of gotten away from it over the last few months.
Thanks, Scott and Ricky. I know you guys had a lot of lunch and learns in San Antonio. How do you encourage the agents and improve attendance or ensure attendance at those things?
Great question, Rick. To me, that's the lifeblood of our business. And, it's, if you're not willing to take 1 or 2 hours a week and show up for that, you're not serious, in my opinion. And I'll tell them in the beginning, if you want me to help you grow your business, you got to show up. And because the meeting needs you just as much as you need the meeting, right? So our leaders need to be there, and they need to show up, and they need to show up every single week. You wouldn't miss $1 million listing appointment, but you'll miss an opportunity to, and I'll say to people, look, if you attract one agent, and if that agent never attracted another agent, and they're a capper, and they're with our company 10 years, that's $28,000 in your pocket. That's $1 million listing. And you have to look at every single week like you're going to $1 million listing appointment. And you need that motivation. You need that energy, and the meeting needs that. And so, we have our leaders, they show up, and they don't always bring a guest. But, it's just about leadership, Rick. You're looking for those people that are going to step up and be leaders, and you make it quite clear that if they want your help and support, that they need to show up on a regular basis.
Scott, would you talk about the lunch and learn a little bit? So, we have some folks that, are first to market, or the board that we're in there is very small. How many agents coming to a lunch and learn would be optimum to, be able to start doing them, and what would the frequency be to start?
One, you got to show up. And you got to commit to showing up every single week. Many times in the beginning, it was me and Tracy looking at each other, and we ended up having a nice dinner.
I love that. That is awesome, because some folks don't want to.
If one other agent shows up, it was worth the meeting. Even if they're already in, it was worth it, because you start talking about what you're building. You start dreaming together. You start, building dreams and goals together, and talk about traveling the world and spending time on the beach with David Gagnon and Rick Southwick and Brent Gove and Brian Colhane, and getting to know the leaders of the company. And, my gosh, 3, 4, 5 years from now, we can go travel to Australia together as a group, and, we can vacation and build our business and write it all off. And, don't you want to be a part of that? And so I'm constantly building the dream. Every single day, I have it written on my computer, build the dream. Because, that's what makes this thing go. And the other thing that I have on my computer that I look at every day is plans change, decisions don't. So many times we make decisions, but we really don't make decisions. We don't stick to it, right? And so just, you make a decision, you're going to get it done. You have to get it done. And so your plans are in sand, right? You can always go back and change the plans, but you never change the decision. You're either going to build it or you're not. And if you're going to build it, then just keep doing it until you land on something that works. That is just being committed to doing it every single week. I promise you, I make it a challenge to every single person in this room. If you start doing that every single week, eventually they will come. Field of dreams, build it, and they will come. If you show up and show up and show up and show up, eventually someone else is going to follow you, and more people are going to follow you, and you're going to build a big vision, and your team will grow. I guarantee it.
That's great. JT typed in, are you doing lunch and learns that are a real estate topic and then include EXP Explained, or are you inviting them to an EXP Explained type presentation, or are you billing it as a business education? What's the title and the topic and the premise?
Well, we do some trainings, and sometimes we tie an EXP explained into those. but our weekly meeting is an EXP explained, and we're talking about the 4 pillars, and it's quick, and we'll have a sponsor there usually. They can talk for 4 or 5 minutes. It includes lunch. I know in some markets they've got sponsors that are providing lunches. We're starting to do some lunch and learns in other markets now, and we're testing some different things. But just do them. That's all I can tell you. I don't care where you do them. It doesn't matter. We've done them at our country club. We've done them at the title company. We've done them at the mortgage company. We do a weekly one at Maggiano's restaurant. It doesn't really matter where you do them. Just keep doing them, and you have to change. I mean, people get burned out on the spot, and they quit coming, and so you got to reinvent and go somewhere else and do something different. You constantly, have to keep tweaking it and changing it and mixing it up. But bottom line is we're doing the presentation and sharing with agents, the value of EXP and the 4 pillars and what they're going to get by coming on board.
And so, what I find oftentimes is, everyone's looking for the special sauce, right? What are the slide decks? When do you have a meeting? What exactly do you say, scripts and dialogue and all of that? Do you think the tactics, the doing is the most, how you do it is the most important part? Or do you think, having the overall strategy and just doing something and finding your own voice, time on task is more important? Which way would you point people?
Yeah, Brian, the most important thing is having a really good Southern accent. I'm sure that's thousands of agents on my team in New York. But just kidding. Golly, that's a great question, Dave. I've always just been a fan of making a commitment and showing up. I mean, you're never going to do it perfect. You don't want to do it perfect. I think that's people's biggest fear, in anything is I've got to learn the presentation. I got to know all the answers, before I can do it. And man, if that was the case, no one would ever do anything. And you got to get your people involved, get them doing presentations. I want to be the one. I want to be insignificant to my team. And so I want to develop leaders as quickly as possible. And so I've got to instill into them, that they can do it. And a lot of tricks that I use, and my team catches on to them, and they laugh at me for doing it. But, they'll say, hey, I need you to do a one-on-one for a person. And the second I show up and do a one-on-one, I introduce myself and I tell them about it, my agent, and say, okay, tell them about EXP. And I get that look like you just didn't do that. And I'm like, yeah, you're going to learn it, and you're going to learn it now, and I'm going to help you. So, just keep people out of the nest as fast as possible. Someone said, they've attracted some agents and they're not getting duplication. I love Rob Flick's analogy of cows, and he tells the story much better than I do. But a dairy farmer had a bunch of dairy cows, and he had a contract with the co-op that he had to produce X amount of gallons of milk a month, right? And he was only meeting about 50% of his goal. And so he started running out to the cows and screaming and yelling at them, going, produce more milk. You got to make more milk. What the hell's the problem? And they just weren't producing more milk. So eventually, what did he go do?
I hope he got more cows.
That's the answer. You just don't have the right cows yet.
So someone had typed in earlier, Scott, I've attracted, a dozen folks, and none of them are really into agent attraction. how do I get them going? Is the answer really find people who are interested in that part of the business and nurture them?
You can have a conversation with them. I mean, and just ask them, say, how committed are you to that part of your business? And, they'll tell you. A lot of people, most people will say they want to do it, but they just never do it. Most people say they want to, a capper or do it. I mean, and I love Gene Frederick's statistic. I mean, 80% of the business that'll be sold in real estate 5 years from now are from agents that aren't in the business today. And that's a statistic that we've backed up, So, I mean, this is a constant, a business of constant change. You have to constantly be attracting and growing and moving forward. And that's why it's so important that, the people in this room are the ones driving this company. I mean, we have to, get all on board and start attracting agents, or the company will die. Without growth, you die. And so, because 80% of the business 5 years from now is from new agents. They're not in the business yet, so we have to go get them. We have to train them. We have to have tools and systems to get them on board. And I think another thing is just setting the example. I mean, if you go out and do it, some people are eventually going to follow you. They watch you and see what you're doing. And so, the leaders and people that really want watching you to see if you're truly setting the pace. And but if they're not doing anything, then you just need to go get more cows, or you need to have a serious conversation with them and see if it's something that they want to do, and then say, well, what are you committed to doing? And if they tell me, I say, okay, well, can I hold you accountable to that? And if they say, well, yeah or no, and if they say yes, I say, okay, you're going to make 10 phone calls. When are you going to make them? I'll make them this week. Okay, I'm going to put you on my calendar for Monday at 10 a.m., and I need to know the 10 people that you talk to. And if they talk to 10 people, they tell me who they are, then I'll talk to them again the next week. If they didn't, we're done. Until you get serious, we're done. We don't have time to, to help people and coddle them along. We're looking for people who want to win and win big. And if you don't have that mindset, you're never going to get there.
I love that, Scott. So you said, your group is, 450, 460, somewhere around there. And when I look back historically, it was a couple years ago that the company was at 865, right? And then we ended the year at 2401. Do you feel? We were 464, went to 865, and then 2401. Do you feel that your group will follow the same kind of path, or do you think you'll be north or south of that number?
Well, my goal is always to be north of the company growth, and that's a huge goal of mine. I'm looking for people that want to win and win big, and so I set really high goals, and my goal is always to be the number one at whatever I'm doing, and so I think it'll be north of that. But if everyone in this room gets out there and kicks some ass, I won't be, and that's okay, because the faster we grow, the faster my business is going to grow, and so the faster we get businesses and markets up and booming, and that's another thing. I'm going to get on my soapbox here a little bit, Dave, because I see, and we experienced this a lot more months ago than we are now. So I'm very thankful that the attitude around this is changing. But man, once we get to 20 or 30,000 agents, everyone in this room's business is going to grow faster, and it's going to be easier, and it's going to be a whole lot more fun, and there's going to be a lot more people making money and a lot more testimonials. And so when someone comes into your market and attracts a big agent, man, you should jump up and down and dance. I would love every single one of you, I challenge you to pick up the phone and call the top 50 producers in San Antonio, Texas today. Cold call them. I don't care. Please get on the phone and tell them EXP is the best thing ever. That's going to do is help my market and help us grow. this attitude, that we're poisoning the well, it is ridiculous. The faster we grow and the more markets we go into, the easier it's going to get for every one of us. So, I encourage all of you, pick a market and just go at it. Call everyone you know and call people in my market, because you're only going to help me if you start calling agents here.
All right, Scott, we're going to wrap up the meeting here. And I got to tell you, I love everything about what you're talking about. I love the attitude. I love the work ethic. I love how committed you are. I love the tough love, the accountability, and all those things. If you had one thing that you could leave us with for a closing statement, what would it be?
I've been involved in about 15 different businesses, some incredible companies. I've never seen an opportunity like this. Don't take it for granted, guys. This is a game changer. We will dominate this industry if we all stick together and we all grow together, we all help each other. Hey, this is not the #1 real estate company in the world 5 years from now if we all just attack it and go at it, because Glenn Sanford created the best model in the history of real estate. And every time you see him, you should thank him, because there's never been anything like it. Having been on the other side, it's night and day. And if agents truly know what we have, and if they truly get it, they're not going to sleep. And eventually, they're going to come join you. It may not be today. It may not be a month. I've had agents that I showed this to 9 months ago, 10 months ago, that call me back, 9, 10 months later and say, I'm ready. All right. You just plant the seeds and keep planting it, keep sharing the vision. And, it's going to be an amazing ride. I look forward to seeing every one of you at the shareholders meeting in San Diego. If you don't have your tickets yet, you're not serious about this business. Get on a bus, get on a plane, cancel whatever else you're doing, and come to San Diego and join us. It's going to be an incredible deal.
All right, Scott, thank you so much. I'm going to give you a little clap and a dance here, but that was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.